Hey, um, I keep coming across these lies where Muslims say Jesus is a Muslim, but
Yeah,
there's no
so because
historian or scholarship
literally
that
billions
supports
of
that
people
claim.
believe that Jesus is a Muslim is part of our religion. Can you prove to us that Jesus is not a Muslim?
Well, yeah, according to scholarship and according to historians, Islam
Which
did not
scholarship
exist
is
prior to
authoritative
Islam.
to prove to us that Jesus is not a Muslim? Which one are you gonna?
Yeah, like people like Bart Ehrman. Um,
Yeah, I don't
I
care. I
could
don't
give you
care.
more.
That's appeal to authority. That's called appeal to authority. I don't care if it's a scholar or historian, whatever. No, I need to see the proof. I need to see what they say. I need to see what the documents they present and everything. Right? Just because he's a historian or a scientist, whatever, doesn't mean you just submit to whatever he says.
Well,
No, that's
there's
appealing
no
to authority.
yeah, but there's no like anthropological, no kind of archaeological evidence that supports the claim that Muslims
You cannot prove
existed
it
prior
then.
to the 7th century.
You cannot prove it then, right?
I mean, I could give you historians, and I could give you what they reference,
I don't care
right?
about names. If you can provide, for example, documents,
I think the
I
onus is
may
on
look
you
at it,
though to prove
right?
that. I think the onus is on you to prove that Jesus is a Muslim,
Yeah, we already
because
did that. We already did that a million times, right? We can do it linguistically. We can do it internally. Like, for example, you can see in your Bible and like try and actually prove to you that Jesus is a Muslim. Um, and we can do it by showing you how consistent the Quran is when it comes to Jesus and and the Old Testament and all that stuff. We did that like a million times. Now today, what we talk about is, can you prove to us that Jesus is not a Muslim without appealing to your Bible?
yeah, sure, I could use
Okay.
first century sources that say that Jesus was actually crucified, which is not Islamic. Therefore, Jesus could not have been a Muslim, right? So I could reference people
So
like
anyone who gets
Josephus.
crucified is not a Muslim?
Yeah, well, doesn't it contradict the Islamic narrative?
That Jesus got crucified?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, okay, you can try it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and Josephus, he was a
Who's
Roman
Josephus?
Jewish historian.
Yeah.
He was from the
Yeah.
first
When
century.
did Josephus was born? What
He
year
was
was he born?
born. He was born in the first century,
Yeah, what year?
circa 37, year 37 AD.
37 AD. What year did Jesus got crucified?
Roughly 33, 34,
33.
35
So
AD.
he was a baby 2, 3 years after Jesus got crucified. How was he a eyewitness or anything?
Yeah, since the Romans keep very meticulous records, right, and since he's an
They don't.
historian,
They don't.
well, according to
They don't.
historians, that
That's his
the
own
Romans keep.
books. He's a historian. He's in his book. There's no such thing as the Roman records or anything like that. Where is it?
Well, since the Romans do keep records, right, like especially of those who were
Stop
crucified,
repeating that. Where is the Roman records?
he would be able to have access to
Wait,
these records
what is Josephus has to do with the Roman records?
because he was a Roman historian and a military leader, and he would have access to these records,
He
correct?
wasn't. He wasn't. He was just a historian who wrote books off like in the
Yeah, and
late
according
third
to
century.
historians today,
Anyway, you can okay. Anyway, fine. So Josephus tell us that people said that Jesus got crucified, right?
well, he makes the claim that Jesus was actually
He makes
crucified.
the
So
claim. Now it's not a
yeah,
proof
the
anymore.
historian. That well, it's a claim,
There is a
right?
big difference
Among
between a proof that Jesus got crucified and someone claiming that Jesus got crucified. A huge difference.
well, every historian makes a claim, but when we bring up different independent evidence to corroborate that's such a claim, right? That proves that the event actually happened, correct?
No,
That's what historians do. They don't just
absolutely not.
rely just on a
Absolutely not.
single
That's not how it works.
report. So how does it work then? Since you're the
Yeah, that's
historian, go ahead.
absolutely not how it works. Okay, okay. So let me repeat this. Josephus, someone who was born years after the time of Jesus got crucified, wrote a book that says Jesus got crucified. What does the Quran says about the crucifixion?
Oh, why are we going to the Quran though?
Because you're challenging the Quran. You are quoting a historian who is challenging what the Quran says about the crucifixion of Jesus.
But I was
This is
listening
your
to
claim.
your I was listening to you yesterday, and you
Isn't
said that
isn't
you're not
this
going to
isn't
go, you're
this
not
your
going to appeal to
claim?
the Quran.
No, you are appealing to the Quran. I'm not appealing to the Quran. You're appealing
I'm
to the
not
Quran.
going to. I never went to the
Okay.
Quran.
All right. So the historian says Jesus got crucified. Okay.
Yep.
Next. All right. Next.
So is that Islamic?
What is Islamic?
That Jesus was actually
What
crucified,
is
the historical
Islamic? No,
Jesus.
no. What do you mean by Islamic? By Islamic, you mean isn't
No,
that
so
what the Quran says?
The
Do
Islamic
you?
claim
Yeah.
that
What is?
Jesus,
Where does this Islamic claim come from?
the Quran.
Why you appealing to the Quran?
I'm not appealing to. I'm challenging it.
This is exactly what I just said. I
No,
said
you didn't.
you are quoting Josephus to challenge what the Quran says, and you said, "Why are you appealing to the Quran?" This is
Well,
what you're doing, right?
I'm not appealing to it. I'm challenging it. Do you not understand the difference?
What does the Quran says about the crucifixion?
Oh, why are we going to the Quran though?
Because you're challenging the Quran. You are quoting a historian who is challenging what the Quran says about the crucifixion of Jesus.
Like I'm not like going to the Quran to say like, oh, this didn't happen. This happened in history according to the Quran. No, I'm challenging that claim, and I'm also challenging the claim that Jesus is a Muslim, right?
Okay, stop repeating what I'm saying. Okay, I'm with you. I'm trying to like speed up the process. Now, you quoted Josephus. Josephus says Jesus got crucified in the first century, and then I said, what does the Quran says? Right? That because you're trying to challenge the Quran, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't be scared. This is what you're trying to do.
Or just a Muslim claim.
Now, the Muslim claim is the Quran's claim. We are following the Muslims follow the Quran. There is nothing. There is no Muslim without the Quran today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what does the Quran says about that specific event?
So you could go ahead and read it. 7:157, right?
Yeah. So those people who are boasting that we unalived Jesus, the son of Mary, the Messiah, they did not unalive him, nor they I'm paraphrasing the verse. Nor did they crucify him, but we saved him, and then he got raised up to God. Right? That's what it says. Now, now Josephus says people claim to have unalived Jesus because he's literally quoting people who are repeating that information. Right? And then the Quran says, yes, people said that they unalived Jesus during the time, like the same year, 333 AD. People did boast and say and shout that they unalived Jesus. And then you have Joseph who says, yes, people did unalive Jesus. Now, what's the problem now? What's the argument? What's next?
Yeah. So if you're going to say that it was just some kind of grand illusion that made people think that Jesus was actually crucified,
Forget about that.
you would have to verify
I'm
that.
saying right now, what I'm saying is that the Quran and Josephus are saying the same thing. Yes, people shouted that they unalived Jesus. Josephus was not an eyewitness. Again, he was not even born. He was a baby years after that, right? And then later when he grew up, he listened to testimonies around him and listened what people said about that event and repeated what people said. That's how it worked. And that's why you see there, people unalive Jesus. The Quran says, yes, people said that they unalive Jesus, but here's what happened. So it's synchronized. There's nothing there.
Okay, so was Jesus actually crucified on the cross?
According to the Quran, no.
Forget the Quran. Historically, right? Was Jesus?
Historically, we don't know. Historically, we don't know.
We don't know. So
don't giggle, all right? Because
okay, sorry about that. So
here, I just dropped them because
yeah, sorry about that. I don't know that offended you.
Lame.
Unanimously, right? Historian scholarship affirms that Jesus Christ was actually crucified, right?
No.
But not. But
no. Those historians who just quoted.
I could give you reference after reference right now.
They're repeating what people were saying. Again, them themselves, they are not eyewitnesses. They have no idea what really happened. They're just repeating what people were saying during that time. Like 100 years later, like 80 or 70 years after that event, he was going around investigating, hearing what people says, and then we unalived and crucified someone who was calling himself a Messiah. And the Quran says the same thing, right? But then it says, nothing like that happened. It tells us the true story, right? Here's the thing. Now, when you quote Josephus and say, since Josephus said that, therefore it's good, this is still appealing to authority because you're saying since he was a historian, therefore he says that, therefore it's good. No, what is the proof that Josephus gave us in order to prove that event happened? And don't say his book. Don't say he wrote that in his book.
Yeah, again, as an historian, right, and has a
who was not.
Who would have a high position? You asked me a question. Can I answer, please? Who would have a high position as a Roman, right? He would have access to the records.
He would have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if it would just made it appear that Jesus was actually crucified, if that's the claim you're going to make, right? You are going to have to verify that. Because that's not how history works.
I'm not going to do that.
We don't. Wait, hold on.
Because the Quran,
we don't look at historical events.
Challenges your claims.
But we don't care. Historians don't care about what the Quran says about the first century Jesus.
If some random historian says that, you have to go back and say, was he there? How did he get that information? right? Was he there? Was
You,
he an
you're not
eyewitness and all
understanding,
that?
man.
I do understand, but
This
here's
is
the
not
thing.
how
Here's the thing.
history
Here's the
works.
thing. So look. وقولهم إن قتلنا المسيح عيسى ابن مريم رسول الله وما قتلوه وما صلبوه ولكن شبه لهم إن الذين اختلفوا فيه لفي شك منهم. They have doubts. And there's the thing. When you read about the crucifixion, the
This
resurrection
guy's
in the
pointing to the
Gospels,
Quran.
shut up. When you read about that, you can see that people have doubts and have no idea what really happened during that time. ما له به من علم. They have knowledge about what happened. إلا اتباع الظن. That's why you said, oh, he would have knew something. Now, إلا اتباع الظن. It means they only. One second. They're only following speculations. This is exactly what you're doing. You are following speculations. He would have had that. He would have knew that. He would have. Okay, speculations. That's not proofs. If you take
Okay,
this
so
case to the court, it's not going to hold.
no, what you're saying will not actually hold, right? The
I
earliest
make perfect
attestation,
sense. I don't.
and
I don't
no,
give a
you
shit.
did it. You're
I
trying
do.
to you're denying
Look,
that Jesus Christ was actually crucified when
yes, because there
scholarship
is
and
no
historic.
evidence. There is no evidence.
Okay, so what's the earliest attestation to the historical Jesus? Do you know him? Do you know it?
Do you have any other? Do you want to run something else, or are you
Okay, so you
ask me
want to
more
run from
questions?
this. So you're making the assertion that Jesus is a Muslim. What is your evidence for that? Because according to historians,
Don't ask
right?
me questions. Right
If,
now, I'm asking Christians to prove to me Jesus is not a Muslim.
well, it says right
Next
here,
time,
Jesus is
maybe
Muslim.
I'm gonna prove to people that Jesus is a Muslim. You can challenge me on that. Right now, you're not doing good. Right now, it doesn't look good at all.
I already presented you some
It
evidence, and I
didn't.
could
It,
give you
did, it doesn't. It
other
doesn't look good.
historians.
It didn't work. Didn't
Okay,
work.
so
Historians,
this is one.
this is called appeal to authority. Just because some random
Okay, so
historian said that
what authority
doesn't mean
did
it's
you
true.
appeal
I
to?
want to see the
Wait.
proof that that historian provided, not just because he wrote it in his book.
You're appealing to authority. You're appealing to the Quran,
What?
right?
Yeah, the Quran is the
Oh,
authority
okay,
of God, of Allah. That's another subject. Don't worry about that part.
what
Don't
I
worry
have
about that part.
what I have is first
No.
century sources.
No, listen. When I'm gonna prove to you that Jesus is a Muslim, I'm not gonna mention the Quran because that would be secular reasoning. I'm not
Okay,
gonna
so,
mention
okay, that's fine.
So, right? Okay, I'm not that stupid. But right
But
now,
are you
you're
going
not
to prove
doing a
that
good
Jesus
job.
is a Muslim?
What?
Are you going to prove that Jesus is a Muslim?
Why? I already did that. We did that a million times. Millions of times we're doing this.
Wow,
Why do you think
I
we're
ever-
doing
I
this
ever-
right now? Because we already did that.
Well, I've never heard it from you. Can you give me your evidence that Jesus is
Maybe
Muslim?
another time. I'm not interested. Right now, I see people crying. There's a lot of Christians just crying because they cannot prove Jesus is not a Muslim without, mentioning their precious book. Like as soon as you don't grant them a word from the book, they just start crying
Okay.
because they have nothing. You
That's
absolutely got
fine.
nothing. Exactly what the Quran says. You got absolutely nothing. You just following speculations, and we can see that.
Well, according to historians, Muslims did not exist prior to the
Historians,
7th
if
century.
historians says Jesus
That's a problem that you
was
have to deal with.
flying
Like,
and
bro,
they saw a unicorn,
come
you're
on,
gonna
man.
listen to them, right?
If you were writing a thesis paper, right? Like that Jesus was a Muslim or that Islam existed prior
I'm
to the
gonna
7th
ask you
century.
one last question
What
before I
evidence
let
would
you
you
go.
provide? You
What
wouldn't
is
be
the
able to
evidence
provide
that
anything.
what is the evidence that this historian that you're appealing to provided? What is the evidence that Josephus provided in order to prove to us that Jesus died on a cross? Go ahead.
Well, that's just one piece of evidence, right? What
No.
historians
What's the
do.
evidence? What is the
Yeah,
evidence?
yeah. What he wrote down as an historian, and he's one of the most reliable historians.
Thank you. This is exactly what I was saying the whole time. The only reason why you appealing to that historian is because he wrote it down. That's exactly what I'm saying. This is appealing to authority. Just because a historian wrote down something doesn't make it true. No, you have to provide me the evidence.